Okay, my second video, just getting started. Two tables of 5NL as before. And last session wasn't too bad. That was last week. See if we can have a decent session again. I'll make it about 20 minutes or half an hour, something like that. Tens can go either way with this. In position, could call, could raise. And to nearly pot size bet, I think I'm just going to fold. With a diamond, I would probably call, but without, just going to throw it away. An experiment with slightly less 3-betting pre-flop, so we'll just call here with ace queen out of position. Nice thing about that is when you do miss, you can get away quite cheaply, and you have a disguised hand if you do hit. For this price, I'm going to call. We could easily have the best hand with ace queen. Okay, just throw it away. So the last session I played got off to a very slow start. It seems like most of my sessions, they get off to slow starts and then eventually they get going. 7-8 hearts. Okay, we'll go for a 3-bet. I said I wouldn't do too much of this, but in position. A pretty hand, isn't it? But not when you get 4-bet, it's not too pretty. So this is why I stopped doing this too much. Somehow when you don't have aces or kings, you just get 4-bet. All right. Okay, ace king get called from both blinds. We get a really nice looking board. Kind of board where you suspect there's not going to be a huge amount of 2-pair on this board. And I'll just go half pot. We've got the ace of clubs. He can have a flush. You can have a weaker king. I think probably we can only get 2 streets of value, so it's probably not a bad hand to be able to check back, and we get a really nice river. And he checked kind of fast. I think if he has almost any club, he'll probably call a 67% bet, so let's just go with that. A little disappointing. Would have liked to have got a call. Wouldn't have really liked to have seen a raise, because if he raised there, it would have meant he probably had a boat. Sixes, pretty easy defend here. Not exactly the ball we were hoping for. He checks back. I'm just going to check it down. There's always a small chance he has like 5s or lower. Now he bets over the size of the pot with an easy fold. And we'll just 3x with the 8s from the small blind. And the same with Queen 9. We get a nice board here for 8s, so we're going to bet a little larger. It does need quite a lot of protection. We get snap called. And we're going to go and bet on this table as well. Just bet half pot. I'm going to... What am I going to do? I think I'm just going to bet real small, or am I going to check? I'll check. Let's see what he does. If he bets massive, we probably could just throw it away. It's a weird board, isn't it? I think we just go real small and then fold to a raise. But this is kind of ugly. You know, if he has a hand like King 6 or something like that, he shouldn't really call with it. If he's going to play it, he should raise it, but that might be the kind of hand that would call. What did he have? Queen 5, so same sort of thing. Deuces on the button. We could ISO. Actually, with this particular hand, I'd rather just call. And we'll just try and steal it. The guy in the big blind looked totally uninterested. I suppose we may as well just check this back now. We can have the best hand. We have hands like Queen Jack, Ace Jack, all those sorts of hands. We still beat those, so I'm not going to bet. Pocket aces. Ah, might have been here a while before I guessed that. Get two calls with my ace 10 off. Absolutely hopeless board for me, so I'm just going to check fold. I'm not going to bluff into two people. I will stay and watch. Queens, so that's interesting. Didn't three bet his queens. This is the kind of spot where I would often three bet. I'm starting to just try and be a little bit more disciplined and not do it. Perhaps I'm going too far the other way, getting a bit too tight. And deuces out of position. Just going to let it go. Okay, we get called from the big blind, and I think what we're going to do this play, this little weird play that sometimes does work against people who lead. Yeah, when people lead like that, to me, it's usually very weak because they're very unlikely to lead a 10 there. Why would you lead a 10? You're just going to check to the pre-flop raiser. So it's often just people stabbing with complete nonsense, and they'll give up to a min raise. Not a play that I like very much, but it can often be quite effective. All right, we'll go for three bet here with the king queen in position. So that's what you like when you three bet with a hand like king queen, just snap fold. You don't really want to get played with particularly. Okay, king ten of clubs will be an open, and I think see this is the guy that didn't raise with the queen, the three bet sorry with the queens a minute ago. We're going to ISO. We could probably go to four if we're going to ISO, and 10 8 clubs here. I think pretty straightforward. Cool. Okay, so this is kind of, I mean, we're going to fold, but might make a note on this guy that he didn't three bet. And that can limp re-raise. Against two people on the right, got a gut shot, but I don't want to bet into two people without a hand. So just going to throw it away, be a good boy. And we'll go for it. This might be a little bit too loose. I'm not sure. I think that from an earlier position raise, King Queen might not be a three bet. We get a very favourable board. Let's bet small here. We're just going to go a quarter with a whole range, but we do have the King of Spades, so obviously it's nice. I don't know what we can get to fold now. If he had something like eights, I think we can bet again. If he has something like a pocket pair with a spade, he isn't going to like it. So yeah, I think that's probably what he had. And king eight here, just going to have to fold. So ace-10 in position. Again, one of these hands I can go either way. I generally, when I'm in position, will prefer to call and just play a pot in position because it's just easier to play when you've got position. Don't need to bloat the pot. And also when you have a hand like ace-10, gives you a bit of deception because we have a stronger hand than he would anticipate here. And we certainly can't fold, although it's starting to get a little bit unpleasant when people start firing. And we're going to check back with our aces on the left. Sorry, on the right. I think with the we're certainly going to call here and probably have to fold a lot of rivers. Here I'm just going to check and hope we're good. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me when he bet that big on the turn. On the right, if he bets big, I'm not going to have much choice but to fold. Frustrating. Didn't we also have the and I don't think he would ever check an 8 here. In case he has, but what can he call with? Would he call with a hand like 10-9, Jack-9? Not sure. Yeah, he's just got absolute cheese. Yeah, 6-7 off. Probably should just be a fold, I think, but might have opened it if he'd folded. It's not really any interesting hands as of yet, but the session is only 100 hands or less old. Ace Jack of Spades. Don't really want to call this. It's quite a large 3-bet. He's 3-betting under the gun razor, so his range should be quite strong. Ace Jack's just not looking too good. I'll take my free flop with the 7s. I don't particularly want to bloat the pot out of position with this. I'll bloat it now, though. I think with bottom set, we're just going to go ahead and raise. And we can safely assume that this guy has an ace. So now we just have to get the sizing right for river. So if we go... I think we can just go 10 and then blast the river. That's a very, very nice run out. 7's over here. Can we flop a set again? Not quite. If he has us beat, kind of sucks. Yep, so I think we can tag him as someone who perhaps isn't very good, because that was a bit of a gift. Tagged as a whale. I think I should give myself the whale tag half the time. Queen 3 off. I don't even know if I should make up with this. You've got a guy limping under the gun. It means he's probably not very good. So if you do happen to hit some absolute monster, maybe you've got more chance of getting paid. But Queen 3 off, pretty tough to flop a monster with that. We'll just go for 2.4x against someone who's not playing a full stack. And on a board that coordinated, someone calling from the big blind, I think I'm inclined probably just to check fold. Yeah, he immediately pots it and we can get out of there. King 9 of diamonds, about as weak as I'm going to raise in this sort of position. Pocket 7s again. My best buddies. Very kind to me a moment ago. Quite a large raise on the button. I'm not going to 3-bet. Certainly going to call, though. Can we flop another set? Not this time. And think now. Just going to check fold. Not going to know what to do on most turns. Even if the turn's 7 of spades, he can have a flush. So I think it's just easiest to let that go. All right, we get 3-bet from the big blind. I'm just going to call this. I don't particularly want to 4-bet. We're quite deep. I'm about 140 big blinds to start the hand, so I think it's just a call. And we're certainly going to be calling on this board. I don't think he's going to like this board that much. This really isn't great for someone who's 3-bet. So we're definitely going to just call. Give it a second. And we're looking for the Jack of Hearts, dealer. Well, we weren't looking for that. This should really freeze him up. I don't think he can really... This is weird. Like, if you had aces here, would you bet? I wouldn't. Now, do I go for that stupid play that I mentioned about a min raise trying to represent the 7? Do you trust someone to fold aces? Probably not. It's a bit weak, but I'm going to fold. I just... It's also possible the guy could have 3-bet pre with a hand like 7-8 suited, so it doesn't... Not guaranteed not to have a 7. But he's probably going to be weighted more towards big cards. I'm trying to avoid getting too fancy in those sort of spots and then just giving my chips away. So when people bet big, more often than not, they have a strong hand. There isn't a huge amount of bluffing when people start betting big. There's some. Not one of those people I think that wants to say nobody at 5NL bluffs, because they do. But when people start really piling in chips, more often than not, it's because they like their hand. Okay, we get called from the big blind, and a board that's really going to favour us. So I'm just going to start putting some chips in. But that'd be an interesting hand for someone to analyse, that Jack's hand, because I feel like those sort of spots I make a mess of a lot. So maybe that should have been a hand that I could raise on the turn with. Would I turn my Jacks into a bluff, or would I be best off just calling down with them? I don't know. But certainly a spot that I find difficult to navigate. King's under the gun again. I'm just going to get called here when we've got ace jack. We're just going to bet a third on a monotone board. Oh dear. And I don't want to call this. We could be dead already. We're not going to know what to do on a lot of turn cards. We'll bet small over here into 2 people. Now he can have an 8 for sure. He can. I don't know what this is. He's just bet 5 times the pot. I have no idea what people do this with. I'm going to squeeze here with ace queen. I guess we have to fold. More often than not, you're just looking at an 8, but it's frustrating. I don't know in those kind of situations what to do. His play is so nonsensical that it's difficult to know what to do. Do you just give someone an 8? Do you think someone could have like a 10 with a couple of spades? I don't know. I don't know. Well, he's got to win for 1 big blind, 1.4 big blind, so we'll call with 7-8. Boo. Open up the king ten of clubs. Guy limps under the gun. Seen quite a bit of that lately. People limping in. I think the ranges are usually just pretty weak, but you do see a little bit of what you saw earlier when the guy limp re-raised under the gun. And we'll just bet small on this board. So the last video I made, I think I played 300 hands. I think I'll do something similar today. But unlike the last video, at the moment, this really hasn't had any particularly interesting spots. The Jack's hand, I think, was interesting. That I ended up throwing my hand away. Under the gun raise, 7-6 of hearts. I think it's okay sometimes to call in position with this type of hand. And we'll bet small here on the left and we flop trips. And against some guy from under the gun without a heart on the board, I think we just have to throw this away. Not really the board we were looking for. And we'll open in the small blind with a suited Jack 6. Immediately get a massive 3-bet. I'm never sure why people go this big. It seems a bit unnecessary. It's going to work a lot, so I guess if you do it, you'll make quite a lot of chips doing it, so maybe I've just answered my own question. In position with 10-8 off, I think this is pretty much on the cusp, but I do think we can defend it. And again, I'm trying to remain patient. Don't just start raising with nothing. So we will throw it away. Let myself get run over. But I think my previous bad habit was too often fighting over those kinds of pots and just getting myself in needless trouble. The easiest thing in many respects, hand like 10-8 off, probably is just to throw it away pre-flop. But I think in position, it makes sense to call. So I think the only real hand I won was the pocket sevens. And he's a nit. Other than that, nothing much has happened. And I did flop trips with King Jack. But the other guy didn't have a hand. But there's a hand between these two on the right. This guy, Frieden, seems to be playing pretty much every time I'm on here. I mean, I don't play a huge amount of cash games, but pretty much every time I play, he's playing. It's frustrating. The guy on the left-hand table, XX simply, is the guy on the right-hand table who's involved in the spot. So if he's 3-betting here, I assume he probably has a big hand. Ace-Queen off. I think the best play here is just to dump it. It's just too difficult to play after the flop when you miss. Even when I hit an ace like that, it's going to be tricky to know what to do with it. We're going to stay with both of these hands just to see if we can see what people are playing. Just bets a quarter pot on the river Frieden. That's slightly unusual. And they both have flushes. Okay. So there's a bit of a great spot for the ace-king of clubs. Had a guy getting aggressive into him who just had a weaker flush draw. That's pretty sweet when that happens. I think my ace-queen on the left-hand side has a real good chance it's actually good. And I think threes here on a paired board. We'll just go for a small c-bet. Again, not a great deal we can do with these hands. Just not really getting the flops we want. Me put some tough spots. Threes, in fact, the best play is often just to dump it pre-flop. I think particularly from an earlier position. A suited king on the button though will raise, and we get rewarded with top and bottom. So we just go for a standard C bet. We we don't get any play when we've got two pair. When we've got ace deuce off on the button, we get a three bet. So I don't think we've really had an opportunity. I think we're cool about one three bet. And other than that, we pretty much folded all of them. I don't think I've had a hand yet that would have made sense to continue against these bets. So whether it's me being overly passive or whether it's good discipline, I guess you be the judge. Queens here is going to be a three bet from the big blind. We'll go to 11. It is pretty tight. It's all pretty tight. There's just not that many people sticking chips out there, I don't think, unless they've got it. The one time we saw a big pot there at Showdown, both players had a flush. Other than that, I don't think we've really seen too much. The one hand when I had the sevens, a guy did have ace three. When you see a very weak hand like that, it tends to be one of the fishier players, but the more sort of regular type players do tend to play a very tight style. They're not piling in a lot of money without, well, no one's piling in a lot of money at 5 and L, but they're not piling in a lot of chips without a hand. We'll go for a check with the Jack 10. I don't particularly want to bet and get raised off it. And can we go for value here? No, we'll try and go for a more passive line. And we'll just see if we can get him to bluff at something. He can have a 6, so we could have just slow played ourselves into oblivion. Did we lose out on value there? Just trying to get him to do a ace 3. So no, I think I was probably on that occasion right that the best way to get chips there was to allow him to bluff, which he declined to do. Okay, so just going to check with ace 6 against an under the gun limper. Got a free flop. We got what it was worth. We throw it away. And this board will be great for an under the gun range. So we're going to bet. We're going to bet kind of big. We'll go for a large bet on this board. Yeah, cool. We've got king queen. We've got no heart. I think we'll just check this back. Just fold the full high. I think we're just trying to get to a showdown. King high does have some showdown value. Probably not a lot, but it has some. That might be a bad play with king queen. Maybe I could have bet flop or turn, just specifically trying to get him to fold exactly that kind of hand. I think he would have called the turn though with the heart, so might have needed two bets. I think there's a good chance though I've become a little bit too passive, not showing aggression enough. Okay, so we're going to squeeze here. And we're going to bump it to, we're going to go to 12. We've got quite a lot of people in here. We don't want to play this against all these people. I thought the under the gun player then might play, decides not to. We get called in both spots. We get a pretty decent board. I'm just going to go with a quarter. It's weird playing into two people. He immediately min raises. I don't know how much 4x he's going to have. I think with the ace of diamonds here, we can just call and then just kind of check call down. Not ideal because he could have diamonds, but this is kind of ugly. Is he going to be... What kind of fours does he have? We don't block any of the ace-4 suiteds, but it was quite a big re-raise pre. I think we just have to just check call down. Oh, God. He can easily have a hand like tens or jacks, I think. Or am I just deluding myself? I don't know. Does he do this with tens or jacks? I don't think he has a flush. 9x play this way? I guess we have to call and just probably lose. 9-7. I think we'll just call that a session. That is an extraordinarily ridiculous last hand. I mean, let's just... That's okay, so we're down there, $6.40. I mean, hang on. So what did he do? Pre-flop, he calls with 9-7. He min-raises the flop. He then plows huge money in on the turn. And then he hits that river. I don't know. It just seems like a really weird hand to me. But there you go. An unsuccessful session. I don't know how many hands we played. 257. So we'll call it a session. Probably play again later. Disappointing last hand, but hey, I don't think I did too much wrong. I think my opponent's play is pretty terrible. Hope you enjoyed it, and if anybody watches this, I think about 30-something people watched the last one. Maybe I'll make another one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.